I'm Amy. Welcome to my Flosstube. I'm known as Fiber Arts Amy here and on Instagram. Today is Monday, May 8th, 2023. I have no idea which number Flosstube this is. I'll write it in the title down below. I am here for a regular Flosstube. I just got back last night from Stitch North, which was awesome. I loved Stitch North. I had a fantastic time. So I don't know how long this will be because I have like a lot of stuff. I'm gonna show you things I've been working on in the last month-ish since I saw you for a Flosstube. I can't promise actually I know I'm not gonna hit quite everything, but I'll get most of it, definitely the highlights. But I also have lots of like acquisitions and stuff from Stitch North, especially, and yeah, they'll kind of be sprinkled here and there throughout. I'll save the bulk of it for the end. Stitch North was awesome. I guess just to talk about that for a minute. I had a fantastic time. We had like a whole memorabilia table going on. I sat with Amanda, who is Lucky Chance Stitcher, and I'll link these people below. Amanda has a Flosstube. I sat with Catherine, Needleberry Stitcher, who also has a Flosstube. And I sat with Ashley, who does not have a Flosstube yet. She's Stitchin' Shorty on Instagram. She's also the fastest stitcher I've ever seen, which was amazing. And I sat with Amy, Mimi Stitchery, who also has a Flosstube, and I'll link it below. It was wonderful getting to, see people working on so much stuff, but also lots of memorabilias. It was really fun. Just had a great weekend hanging out with people. I'd met Amy, Mimi Stitchery before, but I had never met, and I'd like interacted with Ashley, Catherine, and Amanda, but never in person. So it was wonderful to actually get to see those ladies in person. They're wonderful people. I had a fantastic time. A highlight for me, I got to meet Amy Gable Stitcher, who has a Flosstube, and I will link it below. You guys probably already know all of that, but I'll link it below in case you don't. It was so great to meet Amy. It was fantastic. To get to, spend time with them and see their stitching and chat with them and give them big hugs. It was wonderful. Those were kind of my highlights. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna just dive into stitching, and kind of as I go through this, I'll let you know what I stitched at the retreat and what I didn't. And you know me, can be kind of rambly and stuff. I'm actually gonna start, because it's on my mind, I'll start with chatelaine. Ooh, this is so big. So this is the piece I've been working on the most for Chatelaine Wednesday. If you don't know about it, Maggie, Kitschy Whips, and I started a hashtag Chatelaine Wednesday to help motivate each other and ourselves to actually stitch on our chatelaines. We both love them. We both had kits, but just seemed to never quite stitch on them. They just seem so precious and so big and so overwhelming. Anyway, we started it to like try to make sure we're actually putting hands on our chatelaines. So I have been slowly plugging away. I try to every Wednesday get, if I can, at least 2 to 3 hours of stitching on this. I think this one might be a little bit unusual amongst chatelaines because I haven't done any specialty stitches yet. There's some over one fish in the center that I'm like slowly plugging away at. But otherwise, like everything you see here is just cross stitch. Like there's going to be some beads and some metallics in there. But otherwise it's just cross stitch. To be honest with you, I was looking at it because we recently had our like 1-year anniversary of Chatelaine Wednesday. I was looking at it recently and feeling kind of discouraged, to be honest, because I was like, I've been doing this for a year and I'm feeling like I'm not very far along. It is very dense stitching, and it is very fiddly with tons of counting, and I am using, shorter lengths of floss than I'm used to. because there's these silks and these precious materials, and I tend to like do huge strains of floss. So I've been kind of trying to be more cautious and, you know, make them a bit shorter because silks can get a little bit, like you can see the wear on them if you use them lengths that are too long. But I'm still going to stick with it. I may even start trying to pull this out more than once a week. Probably not every week because it can be hard to do. I do not take this out usually when my kids are in the house. It's not something that I can like be hopping up and down out of my chair while I'm working on. If for no other reason than it like, I'm in my stitchy chair, it like sits across from like arm to arm in a stand, like braced in a stand. And I just can't, like, it's literally difficult to get in and out once this is set up. So yeah, I know I'm making progress. It just, I wish I was making more progress. So anyway, that's my chatelaine. Please excuse me while I reach. It lives back here. Whoop. Okay, well they're in a book, but that'll be okay. Make sure the book isn't resting on the chatelaine. Okay, we're good. So all that being said, this past week I wanted to start a new chatelaine to celebrate like having been doing this for a year, but I also didn't want to start a new big chatelaine because I didn't want to take away from the work I'm doing on that. Like I still want that to, you know, I really wanted to finish Egypt Mandala Garden and I want to hang it in here. I love Egypt. I would love to go one day. There's a book series set in Egypt that's one of my favorite book series of all time. I've talked about it before, but not for a while. So those of you who are readers out there, the Amelia Peabody mysteries are amazing. They center around a female archaeologist and eventually her husband working in Egypt in like the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Anyway, I need that Egypt chatelaine hanging in this room. But this week, or this past week, I started a different one, but what I did, and I don't have like a mock-up to show you, or a picture. If you go to the chatelaine website, you can see it. She has a series of small fruit designs. There's several of them, and I've seen other people working on them recently on Instagram. But there's a pineapple, and I decided to start the pineapple, and it's this little 2-inch high pineapple. Like it's really, really small with like a border around it. That's all it is. And I thought, well, that's perfect because like it's got a lot of specialty stitches in it. I haven't even gotten to specialty stitches yet in Egypt Mandala Garden. So anyway, I pulled this out and started it this week on 32 count Mariner's Map. So here's the fruit's gonna be down here, and it's got, you know, like the leaves coming up here. It's crazy complicated. This was like 3 hours of work. Just all of these tiny, like just counting and all these tiny stitches and fractional stitches. And I'm taking care, so like there's these like different, you know, pineapple leaves shooting in different directions at the top. But like I'm taking care to make sure that none of my floss is gonna get run where you might end up seeing it, if that makes sense. So it takes time to like make sure that as I'm carrying my floss in the back, it's following a path that's gonna end up covered by stitches so that you won't end up being able to see those carries. So the pineapple itself is all in DMC. So I was able, I kind of decided what to start like the night before last week's Chatelaine Wednesday. So I could do that right away, but then I had to order the specialty materials. European Cross Stitch does not have, I could probably have, you know, emailed her and asked her to come up with a specialty pack for me, but I didn't. I just went ahead and ordered the specialty materials from 123 Stitch. I just realized I never turned my light on. Pardon me for a moment while I turn my light on. not like that. And that's too bright. How's that? Hopefully that'll like help a little bit. Okay. Sparkly, shiny, specialty materials. Most of these are petite treasure braids, or 3 of them are petite treasure braids. And then 2 are silk lame braids, which I haven't used yet, but I've heard good things about. I feel like I've heard, did Stephanie Webb at Lindy Stitches, did she say good things about them? I'm trying to remember. There's one water lily. This is Gloriana Floramel silk floss, which I have never used before. And then 2 dinky dyes. So, yeah, I'm excited. And I think it'll be nice to have some variety, because there's some Wednesdays that I end up not doing Chatelaine Wednesday. It doesn't happen often, but it happens some, because the day is just so busy. Sometimes I work on Wednesdays. Excuse me. Excuse me. And that can really cut down on my time. Sometimes there's just something else, right? There's like a doctor's appointment or something else. And if I know I'm not going to have at least like an hour and a half to 2 hours to really stitch, I don't take out Egypt Mandala Garden. But having this like smaller thing that I'm just kind of stitching in hand, well, no, I think I put it in a Q-snap, but still, you know, I'm just holding it. It's easy to put up and pick up and put down. Having that as an option also, I think will be good for me. I think that'll help me actually participate every Wednesday, and not have to skip. And not that I skip often, but it does happen. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you, I got a major, I just got really motivated. Like, I got this bug in me to work on this here recently. This is a Lennart kit. Excuse me, it's like I got a frog in my throat. It's from the Romance collection. It's called Horse and Flowers. And it's beautiful. Like, I don't know. I just love the look of it. It's just soft and romantic. And I feel like it fits right in with kind of the aesthetic I have going on at this point in my life with Mirabilias. And anyway, I love it. I had barely started this. I had like 5 stitches in. It was really kind of embarrassing. But I pulled it out the other night and made more progress. I mean, it's still not a lot. But I can do this so the whole thing is stitched with 1 strand of floss. And I'm pretty sure this is a 28 count. I'm not sure what it is. I'm pretty sure it might be a Lugana, but it's a 28 count even weave. So it's a lot. These colors are hard to see on here. I like the effect when it's all done. Oh, it's a little bit better. So this is actually the horses. Like, these are his nostrils over here. I got some color put in. And this is the start of some of the flowers next to the horse. I want to keep putting some pretty steady progress on this. It probably took me, 15 minutes. Because all I had was like some of these white stitches. It probably took me 15 minutes just to figure out like where that stitching actually was. The other thing I decided to, so this kit came with this stuff. So this is Anchor rayon thread. That's a little too bright. Okay, anyway, it's awful. Like, I can, like, just by feeling it, I do not want to stitch with this. It is crazy slippery. I'll never keep this on my needle. It's just, I think, going to be very unpleasant to stitch with. It'll slip off my needle constantly. I ordered different white. I thought I'd replace it with a silk, because rayon's supposed to mimic silk anyway. It has like more of a luster. This is more of a shine to it. I ordered a number of white silks, but because of the nature of silk, none of them are actually white. They're all just different variations of off-white. And I'm not happy with how any of them look. Let me see, did I keep, I don't know if I kept any, oh I did. So this was the closest one I found to a true white was, is this NPI's? No, Krynic. The closest I found to a white was Krynic Silk Mori, color 8000. But like, I think you can tell there, it's still very much not white. There's a huge difference. And there's already a lot of shades. So these are the flosses for the kit. The primary color in this kit is this like off-white. And the silk is substantially different than that off-white. I don't know. Now I'm kind of rethinking. Maybe I should use the silk. I was thinking maybe I should just use B5200 in place of this. But this isn't white, like white, but it is substantially different than any of the colors on the card. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. If you think I should go ahead and use the silk, you certainly have enough, or if I should use B5200. I don't know. Now I'm kind of torn. Tell me what you suggest. So anyway, worked on that. All right, Teresa Wensler. I did pull out The Princess and the Dragon a few times since I saw you last. I really want to finish this. I have to keep pushing back my like hopeful finish by date. That's okay. I'm making steady progress on it. I did a lot of work in the border. So this is where I am. I mean, it's certainly the furthest I've ever made it on a Teresa Wensler before. But I've been working on carrying greens. I've been like going to whichever green comes next, like highest, that I haven't finished yet, and like working it down and around the corner. And I did also take one of those green shades and like work it over here this time. I feel like I might have, no, I think that's all I did in like the body of the piece. So still plugging away. Still plugging away at Princess and the Dragon. I love this piece. I love working on it. But it's also a piece that I only work on if I'm home like without the kids. And I'm not going to be interrupted a lot. I'm not going to have to be getting like up and down frequently. While we're talking about Teresa Wensler, I'm going to share this. So if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen yesterday I posted a picture of some of the stitching at my parents' house. So my parents live, they live in Buffalo. They live near, well, kind of on my way to Stitch North. So on Sunday, on my way home, I knew my mother had finished the Pegasus. My daughter asked my mom to stitch the Pegasus for her. And I knew my mom had said she finished it. So, I'll show you what I'm laughing at here in a minute. Getting a phone call. I don't want to talk to you, whoever you are. Okay, so I knew my mom had finished it. So there's a little bit of a history of her finishing things and then deciding not to give them to me after all. So I wanted to kind of get it in hand. Because I told her I would, get it framed and all that. My daughter is the one who picked this piece for her to stitch for her. So anyway, I swung by my parents' house on the way back home yesterday. And while I was there, I took a picture of some of my mom's stitching. And I posted on Instagram yesterday because she is a beautiful stitcher. But also I picked up the Pegasus. So this is beautiful. My mom she doesn't only stitch, she also knits. She recently has been doing, like in recent years, has been doing lots and lots of prayer shawls for her church and stuff. So but when she stitches, she's a one at a time stitcher. So I mean, she knocked this thing out real fast, honestly. I mean, it might have taken her like 6 months. I don't know. It wasn't long, but she did awesome. She told me that she did make some mistakes. She said there's a couple extra rows and a couple extra columns. But you can't tell. It's beautiful. It's really, really stunning. In person, it's amazing. This is a 28 count linen that it's on. I'm pretty sure I gave her the linen too. I'm looking at this, I'm learning how differently people must do things, right? Like when you stitch, sorry, notification I've got to get rid of. Right, you stitch your way, and if you're not around a lot of other stitchers, you don't kind of see how other people do things. It was great at Stitch North to see, especially a lot of people who stitch in hand. It was interesting to see their process. But what honestly is surprising me about this is how dirty it is. And it's not coming across on screen, but like the fabric is very gray, especially up top. Like it's very, very dirty. But I'll be washing it. This is all DMC and it'll be fine. I'm just surprised. My mom stitches in a Q-snap in hand. I wonder if she grabs the top of her Q-snap. It was in an 11 by 17. That might be it. Because the top is very grubby. The part I was laughing at, and if any of you do this, I'm not trying to like make fun of you, so please don't take it that way. But I took it out and I was like, Mom, what did you do? Like, this is very, very thick. It's like, what did you do? Like, there's all it's like a shag carpet back here. And she was like, well, don't you do that? And I was like, no, like, what is this? Like, I run my thread under, right? And I'm kind of paranoid, so I tend to run it under a lot of threads, or even like back and forth, and then I clip it close, right? She leaves she runs it under, but then she intentionally leaves like this. I mean, these are like 3/4 of an inch tails. And, wow, this is a mess. She leaves these tails, and then, she said so that she can tighten them all up before framing. She's like, but you can do that. Nothing needs to be tightened up. Like, we're good. I need to, like, double check. I was like, but you've run them under stitches, right? She's like, oh, yeah. I don't know how many stitches to run under, but, like, there's not room to, like, there's not room here to, like, thread a needle and run them under more or anything. She just, I guess, gives each one, like, a tug before snipping it off and taking it to the framer. I've never heard of this. Ever. So it's kind of blowing my mind. But this is beautiful. And I honestly, I don't even know that I'm going to trim these. I'm certainly not going to tug them and trim them. But I am going to need to trim those that are around the edge. I'm trying to decide right now, because I'm going to take this for framing later this week, if I should... I'm not going to do a mat. I'm not going to do a mat. For most Teresa Wenslers, I think I prefer just like a simple frame. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to frame it like right up to the edge so you don't see fabric, or if I want to frame it with like a small, it would be a small if I did it, not like big, but like just a small little border of the fabric showing. And my framer will probably have ideas, but if you I'll need to look through some pictures on Instagram since I have yet to finish a Teresa Wensler. But if you have a suggestion or idea how you like to do it, let me know. Because I need to get this washed and protected ASAP. So I'm going to wash that later. Okay, moving on. Excuse me while I get a sip. also learned while I was in Canada that Tim Hortons has great hot chocolate. That was important information. So this is my temperature piece. Oh, it looks a mess. I'm so sorry because I have all these threads dangling, flosses dangling. Try to organize it so you can see it. So I was caught up at the end of April, but I haven't started March yet. Or I keep saying, I did this earlier today. I keep saying March instead of May. It's May. So I finished April. We had a crazy April where it got really hot and also really cold. So I need to start May. I didn't take this with me to the retreat, so I need to get that started. But oh, so this is Temperature Quaker by Stitchin' Mommy. I am really enjoying stitching it. I'm glad I picked this up. I have never done a temperature piece before, and even though I really like the look of a lot of them, the idea of doing it didn't really appeal to me. This one pushed me over, this design pushed me over the edge and convinced me to do it. And I absolutely love how it's turning out. I'm not using Stitchin' Mommy's recommended floss colors. I had my kids pick floss colors. They went to Michael's and picked like anchor spools for me. So mine definitely has a different look than if you use her Stitchin' Mommy's called for floss colors. I really like the way the colors blend. If I do one again, I will use Stitchin' Mommy's recommended colors because they blend very nicely. I like the way they look. Just so I don't forget, I'm going to show you this. So I only have one to show you because the others are all elsewhere. I have gotten kind of obsessed with these shepherd's bush designs for these bags. So these bags are made by It's So Emma, which is the like in-house brand for Fat Quarter Shop. They come in several colors, and Shepherd's Bush has been coming out with patterns. You stitch them in pearl cotton, number 5 pearl cotton. And I think I might have just like needed a kind of like stitchy break some this past month, because when I start stitching a bunch of smalls, that's what that means, right? If I'm not working on like Mirabilias and huge pieces, and I'm doing small, like easy stuff, it's usually kind of a break that I need. I've stitched 4 of these since I saw you last. I think in my last video I was in the middle of doing the quilt one, maybe. Well, I finished that and I've got stuff in it and I'm using it. I did the Queen Bee one. None of them are in here but this one. I did the stitch one, and I put my embroidery projects in the stitch one because I'm not as concerned about them getting messed up. Like, mostly are going to get washed anyway, whereas not all cross stitch projects are going to. And I did the one that says heart, because I have a quilting, like a heart applique project that I'm working on, so I put that project in the heart bag. But I'm having a blast doing these. The patterns are sold at 123 Stitch. I don't think the bags are, though. I think you might have to get the bags from Fat Quarter Shop. I don't know if anybody else... Well, I know LNS's can sell them, because I originally got a couple from Crafty U when I was at Steel City Stitch Retreat. Anyway, I'm enjoying doing these. I think they're tons of fun. They're nice, relaxing. You just stitch upside down, like you turn your pattern and the bag upside down so that you can put your hand inside the bag and stitch. Anyway, it's really fun. So I did several of those. And then I also, I've been working on, the other day I picked up this Lavender and Lace. It's Once Upon a Time. I started this year with Stitchin' Mommy. It is my all-time favorite Lavender and Lace. I love this piece so very much. I'm pretty sure you can still get it. Like, it's out there. But I picked it up the other day and made some decent progress on it. So this is her head. I did some skin. the top of her dress. And I'm in the mood for her right now. I'm in the mood for a lot of things right now, but I'm keeping her out so I can continue making progress on her. I'm really enjoying it. And this, let me see. Yeah, this is Picture This Plus 28 Count Bramble. It's just like a soft green with some modeling, and I think it'll look good. Sorry about the glare. I wanted some, I didn't really want to do like the brown, you know, like the tan background. But I think it'll look good. So I worked on that. It would help to not have quite so much to show if like I came back more frequently than I do. I participate in the Hawk Run Hollow Zoom that Pam at Stitch in the Land of Good Enough does. She also has a shop called Stitch New England. So if you're interested, I would email her. She emails out, I don't know if it's open right now, because she tries to keep it to a manageable size, but if you're interested, I would email her. I am doing, at the moment, my active Hawk Run Hollow is just this apple butter block from the farms of Hawk Run Hollow. I've almost connected the border, which is what I was working on this past week. I'm stitching this for my husband's aunt, who makes us apple butter every year that my boys especially love. So I'm making good progress on that. I'm not like in a rush to finish it. Whenever it's finished, I'm going to finish it as a small pillow for that aunt as a present. Also, Pam does 2 Zooms. She does a Hawk Run Hollow Zoom once a month, and she does a Fancy Folk Zoom once a month. For the Fancy Folk Zoom, I've been working on, this is Joan Elliott's Sleeping Beauty. And I usually only pull this out for that Zoom. So not a lot of progress. It's very slow going, but I'm also okay with that. I'm just enjoying stitching this piece. I've never done a Joan Elliott before. Yeah, I'm just plugging away. I'm not going to pull up a picture right now. I don't have my iPad with me. But like, that's her head there. She's going to be laying on a bed with a bunch of arches behind her. I'm enjoying doing it. It's very similar stitching. It's not as blocky as Mira's usually are, but somewhat so. I'm going to show my full coverage that I've been working on. So I have several full coverages that I've started, but the one that, oh, I'm getting another message. Sorry. The one that I've been spending the most time on is Young Mother Sewing. I'm kind of obsessed with this. I love it. And I think I'm obsessed with Pattern Keeper. And this isn't a huge full coverage. It's not, I didn't write down how many stitches it is, but it's not huge. So that's kind of helping me see progress more quickly. And I love checking, like taking off stitches on Pattern Keeper. I have no desire to use Pattern Keeper for everything, but it certainly makes full coverages way more worth it. So, anyway, I got some progress on this month. I'm at, I think I'm at 6% now. Woohoo, 6%. So that's where I am. I'm not following any strict rules other than generally kind of trying to work from like that top left corner down and across. I pick a symbol. Like sometimes I'm in the, like feel up for like more confetti, and sometimes I'm like, I want something that's a little bit easier. So I'll pick a color that has a lot more stitches close together in that color. But I'm just moving along. This is the mother's head. I'm really enjoying it. Really, really am. I'm doing it 2/110 stitch. It's a golden kite, so there's blends. So doing it 2/1. Honestly, I don't think I personally would do a full coverage doing full cross. 'Cause it's just a lot slower, but for people who do it, they're beautiful. Okay. This is Garden Beauty. So Lisa and I get together usually once a week. To Lisa, Crossed by Floss Lisa, who I will try to remember to link below too. We try to get together once a week, and what was I doing? Oh, I know what I was doing. To work on this. I've got a couple of threads hanging. So this is a Mirabilia. We're hoping to have this done for the retreat in October. Honestly, I'm feeling a little discouraged, a little worried we won't make it, especially with how summers get busy. And the viewfinder, I'm starting to feel a little more encouraged. I just still have most of her dress to go. And there's a lot of greenery and flowers and stuff at the bottom still that has to be done. But I'm very much enjoying this. I don't know, Lisa and I might be pulling some all-nighter stitching sessions when we get to the summer, when we get close to October. I know the last time we stitched on it, I was like, I want to do that. That plinth, something. So I put a lot of work in on that and made a lot of progress. It looks really good. And like, you know, like when you stitch something, you're always like looking at it like really up close. And then when you actually like step back, it looks pretty good. I'm enjoying it. This is an old silk weaver. I'm gonna love it when it's done. I know where it's gonna hang, at least for now. I move my Mirabilias around sometimes. They don't always stay where you put them. So Lisa, Crossed by Floss Lisa, and Memphis Sarah E. and I started this one together. Forest Goddess. Took me a minute. This is Forest Goddess. Also, this is not what she looks like. The colors are just very kind of different. They're much brighter than what you see in here, and it's more green than like yellow in her cape. That picture is just really bad. So here's where I am on her. Also, I know if you're stitching her, she has some mistakes in her chart. So make sure you go to the Mirabilia website and print out or look at the errata if you're stitching her. So we got to get together this month and stitch on her together. And I need to be making some progress on her, not only when I'm zooming with my friends. I'm trying to look and see if I have the tag. I'm pretty sure this is a Country Stitch fabric. I don't see... Sometimes I stick the tag in one of my floss away bags, but I don't see it. Oh, here it is though. Yeah, it's Country Stitch. This is Topo linen, and I love it. It's blues and greens. They're a New Zealand company, New Zealand hand dyer, that I really, really like. They're one of my absolute favorites. I've ordered a lot of fabric from them over the years. Pardon me again while I get a sip. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more now. Forgot to put the chart cover away. I'm going to talk a little bit more now about more like retreat stuff and what I stitched at the retreat. So I drove up Thursday. The retreat started Friday. It was all day Friday and Saturday and till noon on Sunday. So I drove up Thursday and like took my time driving up. But I stopped at a couple of quilt shops on the way up, like, you know, just did kind of like a little road trip shop hop on my way up. But once I got there on Thursday, I needed to get my legs up for a little bit, and I rested in my room for a while. And, oh, you're not going to be able to see a lot of it. But I worked on Cinderella, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, some of it's hidden in a Q snap now. But, so I've done part of her dress, and I had kind of worked up into the scene in the corner. And I decided I really wanted to work, like, I'm trying to work up to the actual corner where some of the greenery is. I want to get that corner done and be able to work on the border, because the border is great fill-in stitching. I'm working from a kit. So this border has several lines of like the same color where it's just lines of that DMC. To me, that's great, like stitching for when you're not kind of feeling up to stitching, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of trying to work my way up to that. So I worked on the castle some. And if you go look at my Instagram, on my post yesterday, my mom has finished this project. She stitched it on a much lighter fabric. I think she stitched it on the called for. She also converted a little bit. She converted some of the colors, so she wanted to like match the room that it was going in. So anyway, if you want to see one finished, there's a lot of people that have finished this one. What are you doing? Where do you think you're going? You're gonna knock everything around. No, can you lay down, please? Freya, lay down. Don't scratch at my stitching. What woke you up? Come here. Come here. I'm gonna see if I can settle her. Oh, Freya. Okay, lay down. Can we lay down? I know you guys you don't wanna see stitching. You just wanna see my puppy lick my chin. Can you lay down? Come here, tell you what we're gonna do. Nope, lay right there. Lay right there. Lay right there. Oh, such a good girl. Such a good girl. She usually lays on the other side of me. Can you just lay there and sleep until I finish my Flosstube? Yeah? Yeah. You're a good puppy. Okay. So while I was at Stitch North, the primary thing that I worked on was Emerald Mermaid, and I'm kind of obsessed with her right now. I'm having so much fun stitching on her. Freya, lay down. Having a ton of fun stitching on her. Oh, don't knock it over. My dog just did so great. All right, I'm gonna have to take her out. I will be right back.